Restart. All right, this is Mujin's video. I've been wanting to watch that for a long time, and I've been really emotionally invested into the Diddy allegations because this is the biggest scandal that's come out from Hollywood in forever, I think.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party, or so you've heard. Because if you've been on the internet for the last month or so, you've definitely seen it being talked about extensively. You've also no doubt heard about the 1,000 bottles of baby oil that were seized from multiple properties that Diddy owns back when they were raided by federal agents in March of 2024. And what doesn't help in all this is that you've probably heard of the federal indictment that was made against Diddy, and how a federal agent, as seriously as possible, referred to his parties as freak-offs.
And control the performances, which he called freak-offs.
I'd say that's kind of the extent most people know about this. And many are...
People are also saying that he might be behind the death of Tupac. I remember watching a video not long ago, it was a few months ago, but I think Tupac was on his way to his studio when he got murdered. So now people are like kind of piecing things together. There's a bunch of conspiracy theories. I don't remember the details anymore, but I hope this video talks about it.
Laughing their asses about this. I mean, come on, dude. 1,000 bottles of baby oil, freak-offs in a legal context. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Come on, man. And I mean, it's understandable. All these things are really ridiculous. But Diddy right now is facing 3 indictments. Not 1 or 2, 3. And obviously, it's not because he owned 1,000 bottles of baby oil. That's not a crime. Here are some of the things he's being charged with. Sex trafficking, forced labor,
that's
arson, bribery, obstruction of justice.
What's arson again? It only makes me think of arsenic. I keep thinking what this is about, what is arson, and it's always mentioned. Oh, it puts stuff on fire. Okay.
State transportation for prostitution. All falling in line with the major case he's being indicted with, which is a RICO, racketeer influenced and corrupt organizations. This was something created in particular to take down the mafias of New York.
Oh, they always think about living the thug life. We didn't know he was actually doing that. It's like it's messed up.
Successfully did so, destroying all the crime families by putting the head bosses all in prison for life.
What?
And now P. Diddy, otherwise known as Sean Combs, is being charged with it. That's huge.
What?
Make no mistake, he's a criminal of the highest degree. The things he's done are horrible. And he's done them over the course of 2 decades or more.
Yes, and how are we finding about this just now? Like, there was so many people that must have witnessed stuff because he knows a lot of people. He's such a popular guy, like an operation of that size, and no one's ever said anything. Just now, it's all coming to light, and we're looking back at people that have dropped hints, but no one's, well, except the lawsuits that were against him from Casey and this other producer he worked with. But aside from that, no one's ever spoken out. All the celebrities, everybody that was invited to the parties, surely they have seen something happen. Or maybe, like, let's say you know P. Diddy and you have a record deal with him. Wouldn't your agent tell you, yo, don't go to his house alone, or don't go, watch out? They would probably get warned.
This
but no one's ever said anything.
By him. He didn't do it alone, no. This is why the charge is a RICO. This was an enterprise, an empire of evil, and it's all come crashing down. But to really understand the significance of this empire and where it came from, we have to talk about the very big elephant in the room. What the hell is a Diddy party? Let's do this. So look, Sean Combs,
dude,
otherwise
Mujin
known
has such a good voice, man.
As Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Love, Brother Love, the list goes on, is a very successful rapper, but also record label producer. He had established the beginning of his empire in the 1990s. He had signed artists such as Usher, Mary J. Blige, and of course, none other than Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
One of the most influential rappers of all time.
Yeah, Biggie was... Wait, Biggie was with him? So is Biggie not cool anymore? I used to think he was cool. That would be a disappointment. I can't wait for the P. Diddy of YouTube to drop. No, I hope not. I hope not. Come on.
This, of course, made him very successful. His own music career was also very successful, winning 3 Grammys. But
Yeah, and Mary
before
J.
he
Blige
even
was
got
big
into this
too.
business and was still in college, he already had a reputation of being an insane party thrower. He would have these massive parties with up to 1,000 people even
I know
before
he's
getting
dead,
into the
guys.
rap game.
I'm not-
So naturally, as he was
I wasn't
gaining
born
so
yesterday.
much money and fame, he wanted to use this talent and bring it to the next level. And that's exactly what he did, starting as early as the late 1990s. These parties were absolutely wild. Part of the reason why Diddy had such a successful music career and label was because he understood what marketing meant. There are some articles out there before 2024 calling his parties an art form. He had essentially taken a concept that everyone understands, which are parties, and elevated them. Here's an example. This right here is an image from one of his very famous white parties, where all the people who were invited had to wear the color white. Otherwise, they wouldn't be let in. At the time, this was something very new, especially for the hip-hop scene. It simply wasn't something anyone was used to, and it got
Blackmail
people
party,
talking
true.
quite a lot. Diddy had a talent, how to throw a good party and how to make everyone there feel like it's extremely exclusive. Word would spread of these parties throughout many social circles, and all of a sudden you had many people wanting to join them. You had celebrities such as Jennifer Lopez, Jay-Z was always there, Aaliyah, etc., etc. The list goes on. I mean, look, you have Will Smith, you have Bruce Willis sitting over here in a picture from 2004. Leonardo DiCaprio was at one of those parties in 1999. Many others were too.
When he was
Everyone
a
wanted to
twink.
see what the hell a Diddy party was because everyone spoke about them so highly. I mean, look at this image right here. He's eating a strawberry off of a naked woman's body. Like, this is something
That is
you would see in a
cool.
movie, in a series, not in real life. At some point, he even managed to get royalty in his damn parties.
That's pretty
You can see
cool.
Kanye West with the royal princes of England at one of his
Aye,
parties.
yo.
That's crazy. Look, by that point, a Diddy party
Yeah,
wasn't
that is
just
art,
a party.
though.
If you were a celebrity in music, in
So,
acting, in whatever,
I wonder if there was like the more legit parties and there was the more disgusting parties with like more a smaller group. I wonder. I don't know. Let's see.
you wanted, no, scratch that. You needed an invite to a Diddy party when it was happening.
Eminem warned Rihanna and Justin Bieber about Diddy. Only Rihanna managed to escape Diddy's clutches. Okay, that makes sense because with other stories that came out, like about Hollywood or like Heinstein, for example, there are a few people that knew and that warned other people, like, yo, don't go there. I've heard he does that to women. So I was wondering if the same happened with this. So thank you for this comment.
If you didn't get one, it simply meant that you were not relevant enough. You were not culturally significant enough to be in this party. So celebrities did everything
Yeah.
they could to get their agent or manager to get an
Yeah,
invite.
'cause he's so
But getting the
influential.
invite was half the challenge. When you would get
Jeez.
to his parties, he would have staff members outside examine your outfit. If your shoes were just a tiny bit dirty, if your outfit didn't make sense or didn't look good enough, if the brand you were wearing wasn't expensive enough, they would flat out tell you you're not going in, leave. It didn't matter if your name was Kim Kardashian or Paris Hilton. You showed up with an outfit that they
What?
didn't
That's
like.
Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton behind him? Yo, imagine being in those photos as all of these allegations are coming out now. That's a PR nightmare. Everybody wants to know what you knew, what you did. Yikes, yikes,
You're
yikes.
getting in. This is all part of the marketing scheme. It's highly exclusive, it's very hard to get into, and when you do get there, you feel very proud, like, wow,
This
I
is
made
so
it.
2000.
And in some way, you did. Diddy's parties were essentially seen like something out of The Great Gatsby.
Oh, I love
There's a
The
lot-
Great Gatsby. Oh, such a beautiful era. I love the 1920s.
A lot of people these days will tell you to quote-unquote network to get to your dreams. They typically mean an expo or a job fair.
Yeah.
Well, that's all bullshit.
No.
Real networking was something like a Diddy party.
It's always
you would
been-
go there as a
It's something like a Diddy party. I don't know about that, Moochin. But it's true. When I was the most successful with my IRL job is when I would go out a lot. And then the people you met at the parties, they would also be the people that would hire you after. Because if they have the choice between hiring somebody they don't know, somebody they've met before, then they would hire the person they've met before. And I really started to fall off when I stopped going out and I started like gaming a lot and being online a lot. So, and I always hated that part of having to work. Like, I was like, I don't understand why you have to do all these extracurricular activities just to work. I feel like my work should speak for itself. My talent should speak for itself. But no, it ain't like that. You gotta network.
good enough
Hated
hip-hop
that.
artist, and all of a
Hated
sudden,
that.
you were seeing Wall Street executives, you were seeing business owners, you were seeing people with billions of dollars, you were seeing actors that you see on television at your home, and the music and the party that was playing on the speakers.
I know that
the
guy.
artist
Who is
behind
that?
it was most likely in the party right in front.
Wasn't that Pamela Anderson's husband? Oh, my tracking just died. Sick. Okay, I think it's fixed. Yeah, it's Tommy Lee. Yeah.
Front of you as well. What Sean Combs had done was legitimize the hip-hop scene, was make it seem mainstream to people who would have seen it as ghetto, as dangerous. He made it attractive. He made people want to get to these parties, beg to get to these parties, and he loved it. This is why everyone wanted to be on his good side, wanted to
But
please him no matter.
That's something I don't really understand about hip-hop, because the interesting part about hip-hop artists once they first came into the scene was them talking about, you know, living in the ghetto, all of these like gangsta stuff they did. But then once they got successful and have a lot of money, did they still have this experience? And they just start singing about like parties and having a lot of money, and they just turn it like into anybody else. It becomes uninteresting.
Or what? Diddy had effectively created that environment. He had immense power to do anything he wanted. And as you might have guessed, he used that power in the worst ways possible. It didn't matter whether you were a celebrity or someone being human trafficked. He used his...
Here's the other question for you. How many other celebrities in Elite have their own Diddy parties that we don't know about yet? I don't... Depends what you mean by Diddy party. His parties involved a lot of crime and horrible stuff, blackmails, sex trafficking. That's disgusting. That's horrible. Now, if we're talking about decadent parties with a lot of alcohol, with maybe orgies, with like eyes wide shut kind of deal, perhaps there is a lot. But the violent kind of parties, the really disgusting kind of party like he did, I can't believe that there's that, like the Epstein Island kind of thing. That is something so immoral. I feel like most humans wouldn't even dream of doing that, wouldn't even imagine this. It's wilder than fiction. No, I've never been to Dubai, and I don't think I want to go there. There is reason to believe Diddy was not the only person hosting this kind of stuff at this level. I could see that because it probably requires a large network of people keeping each other's dirty secrets.
Power to take advantage of everyone, and he did it for over 20 years. What do you call a party with a bunch of drugs, a van delivering victims of human trafficking and prostitutes across state lines, and a lot of IV to make sure that after having sex for 3 days, you don't die from malnutrition? Well, that's an easy answer, isn't it? You call it a Diddy party. But before we get into that...
that's insane! That is insane!
Let's look at this lawsuit filed by Rodney Jones, otherwise known as Lil Rod, a music artist who was promised...
And these people could have sex with anybody. I don't understand why they force people to do it.
...fame and fortune by Diddy, but instead ended up with trauma, PTSD, and overall a hell-on-earth experience. This was filed on the 26th of February of the year 2024 against Sean Combs and many of his accomplices. It's 73 pages long, and guys, the content in there can probably traumatize someone who's innocent. I mean, this lawsuit literally has a trigger warning.
I think that's the producer that was forced to go work on Diddy's next album at his mansion, and he experienced all kind of things there, and he also got blackmailed.
It's insane. There are many incidents in this lawsuit going back years ago, but there's one in particular I want to talk to you about. Diddy wouldn't just throw these big, lavish parties like his white parties for big, high-profile celebrities, he would also throw smaller parties. This incident was actually very recent, held on July 2nd, 2023 in California. Diddy had a listening party at his home. He invited an R&B artist, whose name is redacted, and of course, Rodney Jones. The event began at 7 p.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this time...
Like, okay, like, P. Diddy is unironically evil. When I said that about Niji Sanji, it was kind of a euphemism. He is literally Satan. Like, he's truly evil. Truly.
Rodney had no idea what was going on. He was just invited by Diddy, and I mean, you don't say no to an invite by Diddy. There were many sex workers there, but more importantly, there were at least 5 women in the crowd that were under the age of 16, okay? Let me just read that again.
What?
At least 5 women were under the age of 16. Now, of course, Rodney Jones, being a decent human being,
So he's
saw
also
that
a
and was
PDF
like, yo,
file.
this is screwed up. I don't want to be a part of this. It makes me very uncomfortable. He attempted to leave, but of course, Diddy forced him to stay. Rodney insisted. Diddy...
Okay, so Mr. M forced all women to drink laced de Leon liquor. Upon information, I believe Mr. Combs laced the liquor with ecstasy. Mr. Combs did not check the identification of any of these underage girls. So there was underage girls that were drugged.
He took away his car keys. Diddy then gave everyone in the room, including, of course, the underage girls, de Leon liquor. The only thing to keep in mind here is that this wasn't normal.
Eating sushi off people is so weird. That's the part you're focused on after all of these things? Is the sushi eating part?
Liquor, it was spiked with something that would absolutely knock you the hell out. He forced Rodney to drink it too. He felt lightheaded, passed out. He woke up the next morning at 4 a.m., couldn't remember a single thing that happened last night, but that didn't matter. He was naked. He looked to his side and he saw a naked sex worker sleeping next to him. It wouldn't have taken a genius to understand what had happened, and it wasn't pretty at all. This lawsuit contains screenshots of a video from that night. In these screenshots, you can see Diddy and his son, who was also a part of this whole mess, interacting with underage girls.
I didn't know about the underage part. One of these images is
actually Diddy going for a kiss on the lips of one of these underage girls. But of course, their faces are hidden, and I'm not going to show this on YouTube. I don't want my channel to get deleted. But believe it or not, things would get even messier, and this is something that Diddy would do repeatedly over the years with his many victims. Rodney did not want to be a part of this, but he was forced. He was promised by Diddy fame and opportunity in the music industry. He was invited to a listening party thinking that this could be
He has all the vices, like voyeurism, is that what you call it?
A chance to network and meet other people. He was instead forced to engage in illegal acts, even though he wanted to leave. And guess what? Everything was recorded. So that meant if Rodney wanted to say no to anything Diddy wanted in the future, he could just blackmail him with the footage that was taken of him when he wasn't even conscious. I mean, this lawsuit alleges that Diddy attempted to pass off Rodney to one of his friends. His friend, Cuba Gooding Jr., was obviously gay. Diddy was giving him Rodney like he was some sort of prostitute. And I should mention, he did not have Rodney's consent. In fact, Rodney had no idea what was going on. He was just being touched. He tried to back off as much as he could, but every time he backed off, Cuba would get closer to him.
If I recall correctly, Diddy laced the drinks with Tucci, a mix of multiple drugs meant to make people do things they might otherwise not want to. That exists? It's like the drugs they give in hentais. I thought that was fake.
This is something that Jeffrey Epstein would do to his victims as well. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because it does relate to his Diddy parties. Most of them were recorded digitally, and many were seized during the raids on his properties. This was a way to uphold his power, to make sure no one
I hope he
talks.
loses everything.
These smaller scale parties would happen quite a bit, and they weren't just managed by Diddy, of course. It was also managed by his high-ranking staff at his multiple companies. This is why it's a RICO, right? This is an enterprise. There were many people that were involved here that would be helping him out to cover his tracks and to set up these terrible situations at numerous hotels around the country.
Every single one of them.
Those 1,000 bottles of baby oil would be sent by these people to those hotel rooms. If the hotel room was damaged, they would help repair it. If there were any legal issues,
he's already having a bad time in jail? What do you mean? I haven't heard of that.
To pay them off or just straight up commit bribery. In 2016, there was footage that leaked to CNN of him beating up his ex-girlfriend.
No, I saw this, because like I told you guys, I followed the case a lot. I think I even watched a show, The Surprise Witness. It's like that lawyer girl that I really like. I told you guys about her before. She's great. And I watched this, and it's really tough to watch this footage. Bro, he beats the shit out of her and drags her off the I don't understand how you can beat another person that's much weaker than you like this. Like, he's not holding back his punches there.
Girlfriend pretty damn violently, and it leaked. He had paid the hotel $50,000 to keep this a secret, but they still leaked it anyway, thankfully. He then apologized for it, but I mean, come on. We know this is bullshit. He said he was going to therapy, he was trying to better himself. No, you're not. This is something you've been doing for over 2 decades.
I think it was his wife or his girlfriend. I don't remember. What is sad is that she sued him and they settled out of court. Like it didn't even go through. He's too powerful.
In a way, one could say that Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Combs were 2 apples from the same tree. 2 things were different though. Number 1, the clientele. Epstein went for world elites. Combs went for celebrities, but not the ones who controlled the entire world order. And 2, Epstein tried to hide it, even buying an entire island to seclude his activities. Diddy would let his ego get to him, and he wouldn't be as low-key as someone like Epstein. In 2002, he had an interview with Conan O'Brien on national television. Here's what he had to say about his parties. Watch.
Okay, now, we need alcohols.
Right.
Alcohols.
Right. Not just one alcohol.
Alcohols.
Right, just different
Plurals.
blend. You need the
Blends.
ladies, you need the booze.
You need some water.
For watering plants?
No, I don't know if guys have noticed this. Like, a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They
Right.
just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right,
Gotta
right.
keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
What?
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
A little
Yeah.
kinky, but
Yeah.
rock with me. But just
Right.
check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
Ugh.
Why's that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
That just sounds disgusting. What are you doing?
Depends on the way you look at it.
Depends. Oh, people start getting it gets kind of sexy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you sex.
People didn't really know at the time, but here he was explaining a typical freak-off. And he went into painful detail as to what he would do to seduce women, making sure there's multiple types of alcohol, turning off air conditioning so they sweat their asses off, and having locks on the door. He revealed this on national
I would never go to a place there's no air conditioned.
television. And it was 22 years ago. Look, the reality here is simple.
I
He would
can't
make his
believe he's got to do that 22 years after this.
guests get really drunk, or even better, spike their drinks. It would make them delirious and docile. If they didn't like it, they couldn't escape. Sometimes his guests wouldn't need to be docile, they would be very much into it. He would only need to spike the drinks of the prostitutes and the human trafficking victims.
Why do you
so
need to
that
spike the drinks of the prostitutes? They're paid to do that.
they remain docile? His guests would then have their way with them. The parties would last for days. We're not talking just one
Like,
night, up to 3
That
days.
means they made them do worse stuff than what they were hired for. It's so disgusting. Everything he did, it's just 10 times more evil than everything else.
Sometimes of just straight up debauchery. IV would then be taken out to be given to the prostitutes, to the people who were human trafficked over here, so that they, don't die. This is absolutely crazy.
That's
the fact that
crazy.
they needed IV to be able to recover from how much debauchery they went through. This is what a
Jesus.
RICO is all about. Diddy had an enterprise for this. He had ways to source victims of human trafficking to show up to any party he wanted or any hotel room he wanted. It was an entire enterprise dedicated to one thing and one thing only: the pleasures of one extremely fucked in the head pervert, Sean Combs. However, this criminal enterprise wasn't just limited to the parties and the freak-offs. It also involved arson, intimidation, and worst of all, murder. Back to Rodney Jones' lawsuit, he alleges that Diddy had shot someone he disagreed with in the bathroom of
I
his
don't doubt
studio.
it.
There was a meeting with multiple people, Diddy included, and the victim in question. They started disagreeing on something. Diddy told him to bring the argument to the bathroom, and then after that, you heard shots, and the victim was dead. There are images in the lawsuit of the blood and the clothes that were left in the aftermath in that bathroom, but Mr. Combs instructed his staff to say that this person was shot outside the studio and somehow got away with it. This was just another day in the life of Diddy. At some point, the artist Kid Cudi was getting a bit too friendly with Diddy's ex-girlfriend. What does
Yeah.
Diddy do? He firebombs his car,
Yeah.
hoping to kill him. Thankfully, he survived. Tupac, a rapper that even people from countries far away from the United States know about, was the target of a very infamous assassination back in 1996. Legally speaking, we still have no idea who did it. Now his family has hired an attorney to investigate a possible link between his murder and Diddy. People think the same thing happened to Biggie Smalls. Even though he was signed to the record label of Diddy, People alleged that he had murdered him for disagreements and other reasons back in 1997. 2 years later, in 1999, Diddy admits that Biggie's death actually helped boost his music career and was only positive for him. Who would say that? Who says something like that? It almost sounds like he did it, and it worked. To put it simply, people were terrified of Diddy. This fear extended to everyone, not just in the hip-hop or rap community, but the entire entertainment.
But Kels, the day you put out a hit, the day Diddy admits that he put the hit out that got Pac killed. Oh, and Eminem didn't get his car blown up for this lyric? For sure Diddy did it. I don't doubt it for a second. I don't know the jokes that they made in movies or shows. Next line.
Industry, people knew not to mess with Diddy because he was insane. In Eminem's song called Kill Shot, he says this: "But Kels, the day you put out a hit's the day Diddy admits that he put the hit out that got Pac killed, referencing how he thinks that Diddy had killed Tupac. But hell, even Eminem was scared shitless. He ended the song by saying,
I'm just playing Diddy, you know I love you.
And I'm just playing Diddy, you know I love you. Even he knew that if he pissed off Diddy, he could lose his life.
Yeah.
One of the only rappers that didn't care and publicly was against Diddy, even though it could have cost
50 Cent is a savage. Yeah, he's got a feud with, he's even beefing with his own son. 50 Cent doesn't give a shit.
them their life was 50 Cent. In 2006, he had made a track directly accusing Diddy of killing Biggie Smalls. He made sure to never attend any Diddy party. He would also openly admit in interviews that he felt like something was very off with Sean Combs. And now, of course, people are saying that he was always right. Lastly, I'd like to bring up something else that Diddy did over the years, and that was grooming up-and-coming talents when they were young.
So that's something I heard about, but I didn't get it till now. Like, I've never seen that footage.
Most notably, Usher when he was 13 years old, and Justin Bieber when he was 15 years old. But with Justin in particular, we have more footage and more resources to understand exactly what happened over the course of many years. Bieber gained fame when he shared music on his YouTube channel. He was then discovered by an agent in 2008. That was the start of his massive music career. Diddy took notice of this, and in 2009, he reached out and invited Justin Bieber to stay with him in his mansion for 48 hours.
Don't do
Since
it!
he was a minor, his parents had to sign off on this, giving him permission. And they did.
No, you know, but yeah, of course they did. Of course they did. Everybody's always praising him. And you're like, oh my God, it's going to be so good for his career. Oh my God, a celebrity. You know, they were probably excited at the prospect.
No doubt being attracted by the money and fame. And I mean, seriously, what a terrible decision on their part. Dude is called Diddy. That's like a nickname for Diddler. We could only sit here and imagine what happened during those 48 hours. But what I find interesting is this clip.
I hope
on
he
an interview
speaks
with
up.
Jimmy Kimmel, Justin Bieber actually brings up those 48 hours.
Okay.
And Diddy's reaction was very interesting to say the least.
Okay.
Got me a Lamborghini.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last
He
time.
had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Now back then this might have seemed innocent. Now when we look at Diddy's body language, we kind of see that he was nervous. Watch it again. Look
He
at him
seems
looking
annoyed.
around, being a bit nervous, touching his leg, going back and forth, almost like he's hoping that Justin doesn't reveal too much.
I feel like he's triggered.
In 2020, Justin Bieber had an interview talking about his trauma in the music industry, how he felt like he was
What? Has he spoken about it? What?
used, how people didn't have his back like he thought they did, the many challenges he went through, and honestly, it just sounds like a victim of abuse. Someone who was very confused as a kid, someone who was taken advantage of, and someone who's still recovering even today. But over the years, Diddy would keep visiting him. He would keep kind of pressuring him to stay in touch. He wouldn't let him leave no matter what. At a certain point, they met up when Justin was way older, and he patted him down for a wire, thinking that he was working with the feds against him. Look at this. He's trying to keep it discreet, but he's patting him. He's making sure that there's nothing in there. Now, why would you do that if you had nothing to hide, if you weren't
Schizo
guilty?
moment for real.
Justin and Usher were obviously not the only ones here. There are many, many tapes that were seized, and some of them are being sold on the dark web. One of those victims is yet another A-list star who didn't reveal their name, but who is horrified at the fact that it's being circulated now, having to relive this trauma. Another star caught in the crossfire is Meek Mill. We have a leaked audio tape of him getting absolutely ass blasted, back shots up the wazoo by Diddy. You could hear both of them. It seemed like Meek Mill was very much into it. But was he actually, or was he forced to do this because Diddy had blackmail on him? We don't know. He kept denying the fact that it even exists, and people have made memes about it because the dude is in complete denial. Wait.
He was getting, when he says he was getting ass blasted, does he mean literally? Or like figuratively? Yeah, but I'm gonna finish the video. The back shots, I know what it means now. What?
What's interesting is that shortly after this all leaked, Meek Mill almost died in a car accident because his entire pedal came off.
No.
People still think that Diddy was behind this to this day, trying to silence him.
Yes,
Who
yes,
knows?
I believe
But
it.
we're definitely still at the tip of the iceberg, and I'm not sure I want to see what's at the bottom. Especially with how just recently on October 1st...
That's what mafias do, like they remove the brakes of your car. No. Dangerous, man. Danger. Yeah, 120 new accusers.
20 new accusers came forward saying that they were all minors when they were assaulted by Diddy, with the youngest one being 9 years old.
Stop!
And remember, these are just the ones that had the courage to come forward. This guy is devil incarnate. Thankfully, though, he's now being held in a high-security prison in New York, the same one that Jeffrey Epstein was held in. But many people are concerned that the same thing that happened to Jeffrey Epstein will happen to him too.
Yeah, and we know that we need to know the truth. And there's a lot of people, a lot of powerful people that will probably want him to stay silent because their names are going to get dragged into this. They need to keep him alive.
Perish very mysteriously and suspiciously, and this case will be closed. This prison has a very infamous reputation. Some people call it hell on earth due to its very bad conditions for prisoners. Diddy did everything he could to get bail. Just like any problems that would pop up in his life, he wanted to pay himself out of it, saying he'll relinquish his passports. He won't let females come to his mansion anymore, even though that was never the problem, among other things. But the judge thankfully said no. Diddy then went ahead and stated that he was feeling...
We need a really strict judge on this. We need somebody that's a straight arrow that can't be paid off, that's not corrupt.
Suicidal. So of course people are worried that this is going to be a Jeffrey Epstein 2, where he gets the coward's way out and the victims don't get any justice. Or so we thought. A few days later, out of nowhere, he said he wasn't suicidal anymore and was let go of Suicide Watch. Apparently, Suge Knight, a former Death Row Records executive who is currently serving a 28-year sentence for manslaughter, advised Diddy to get out of Suicide Watch immediately, arguing that if he's in there, the legal system will not take him seriously when he tries to defend himself. But regardless of all this happening, people are still very scared to speak out against Diddy, even though he's in a high-security prison. And that should show you just how much of a menace this man is. And honestly, I don't see him perishing anytime soon.
Well, he's probably got
Epstein,
people working for him out of prison. That guy, he basically runs a cartel.
He wasn't serving the world elite, okay? He didn't have a president come to his island. The people he had over were celebrities. Nothing that'll really impact the world order. Either way, with every passing day, the more we know about these freak-offs and what he has done over the last 20 plus years, the crazier things truly become. Not just in terms of how far his evil can go, but also in terms of how many well-regarded and liked celebrities hung out with him quite often. Stay safe out there, guys, and if there's any new big massive developments on this, I'll probably make another video on it. But for now, I think that's everything major that's been out ever since he was arrested. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. I love you so much, and mwah!
You know, the diddler, so I got some spare baby oil. Want some? We need a 1-hour version of this Muujin video. Really good video. Guys, go subscribe to Muujin. He's great. You know what's crazy is he also told me that there was some Diddy sympathizers in his comments. He still got some simps. Isn't that insane? Isn't that crazy? After everything that's came to light, all of the evidence, all of the dots that are being connected, the video footage, How? How? What kind of messed up, fucked up person can you be? I mean, Dr. Disrespect, it was nowhere near that level even. We're still in the... Isn't it all still allegations? But him, he is truly evil. Makes me lose faith in the world.